Our next speakers, plural, is Maria and Jerry. Jerry and Maria both work full-time jobs. They save 50% of their income and self-manage a portfolio of 9 properties. When they're not traveling or chasing their adorable toddler around, they're accelerating and enjoying their path to financial freedom. Maria also has a really incredible blog with awesome resources for those who are trying to get into real estate investing and maybe just need some more resources, need some more help. And it's called handfulofthoughts.com. And we'll put that in the chat box for everyone as well. I also noticed that Jerry got a haircut. I almost didn't recognize you, Jerry, there when I first logged on. So some people grew their hair out in COVID, and Jerry cut his hair. So looks good, Jerry. With that, I'm going to let Jen pass the stage to Jerry and Maria.
Hi, awesome.
Rebecca, I only cut it about a month ago. I went about 18 months without cutting it. So, it was down to here. About a month
I remember.
Yeah. It just depends what time of the year you see me, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we're going to talk about how real estate can accelerate your path to FI. It has definitely been an accelerator for us. And so we're going to share kind of our journey as well as some action steps that you can take for your journey. Oh, hang on, maybe. So who are we? Well, I'd like to say that we are we're valuists. So I'm a reformed money hoarder, also known as a saver, and Jerry is a reformed spender. Well, he actually still spends money, but we both do. And we try to spend money more on the things that we value. So we bought our first home in 2009. And then we proceeded to crush our mortgage. So we paid off our $342,000 mortgage in less than 5 years. And that was on my teacher's salary and Jerry's power engineering income.
Okay, so a few of the strategies we used in order to pay off our mortgage that fast. One, we've explained this before. I'll try to do it really brief. Feel free to reach out to us, but we call it an RSP hack, so a registered retirement savings plan. Essentially, we would put for half the year, for 6 months of the year, we would save everything that we saved. As Rebecca mentioned, we would save close to 50% of our income. For those 6 months, we would throw that amount of savings down into RSPs. We would get a big tax return. Then for the next 6 months, we would take that tax return and the next 6 months of savings, and we would put that money down on the principal of our mortgage. So that helped accelerate how fast we were paying down our mortgage while we were also building up just RSP value and equity, just investing in the markets. So once the mortgage was paid off, we used a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, as seed capital to buy our first 4 properties. We didn't, I guess we spoke to our financial advisor, who was also a mortgage broker at the time. And he even said to us, because of our savings habits, that we didn't need to do real estate. But real estate was like throwing gas on the fire due to the fact that you can leverage. So we could go out, buy 4 properties, but you only need to have, $240,000, $250,000 in seed capital. We now have 9 rental properties and 9 sets of tenants paying down 9 mortgages for us.
So, because I'm a big numbers nerd, I can tell you that we've always tracked our numbers, and it took us 8 years to accumulate the first $1 million in net worth. And we're on track to be 6 years for the next $1 million. And we're really hoping that the third $1 million is even faster than that. So for those of you who are familiar with FI or financial independence, we're more in the fat FI path, and our number is about $3 million in net worth. So that's a net worth we need to be able to very comfortably live our lives, essentially.
Okay, so this is our FI path. I wouldn't necessarily say, this isn't necessarily the specifics of a plan, but this is just our path. And Rebecca mentioned stuff, even James mentioned, how James mentioned, he's literally saying a couple sentences in his presentation, and I'm like, it isn't a fast journey, at all. This is 15, 20, 25-year plan. But if you take it seriously, you can start to mow those years down. And like James said, it is like a dimmer switch. It's like every year I feel like I have the ability to go skiing more, or play guitar more, or do more of the stuff that I want to do with my time. So I'll just do, a quick timeline here. 2009, bought our first home. 2009 to 2014, we paid off our mortgage. I like to call it the allowance years because literally I was working in Fort Mac as a power engineer with a $200 allowance. So that was very interesting interactions with the guys going out to the bar when they'd spend $200 and a half an hour.
But where are they now?
And that was that's true. Don't bring logic into this. So 2014, it's all paid off. Plus, by the time with all of our RSP investments, we also had $100,000 invested in our savings plan in non-real estate value. So it wasn't just, okay, we paid off $342,000. We also had this registered retirement savings plan money set aside as well. 2015 to 2019, got the HELOC, acquired and self-managed 9 rental properties. 2019 had a bit of a hiccup. In 2018, we had our daughter Aylin. Realized that if my parents wanted to come out and help with childcare, they were going to need a better place than what we had. So we upgraded our house a little bit. Didn't spend that much more money on it, but it's just a much more functional house in a similar area of the city. So 2019 to 2023, we're just continuing to save, invest, and manage our rental properties. As of 2020 right now, our non-real estate net worth is 400,000, roughly 400,000. We'll get to that in a second, why that's important. March 2023, I think the first presentation we ever did for Mogul, that was when I claimed I was going to not have to work anymore. Might be pushed back a couple years with us needing to upgrade our house. But easily by 2023, one of us will be work optional and will not need to work anymore.
And at that time, I'll be 39 and Jerry will be 42. So
yeah.
We're definitely on the early path to financial independence.
So the next little tidbit here, the 2023 to 2035, this was actually advice from a financial advisor. And I don't even know if we would ever even thought this, but so our projected non-real estate net worth, let's say March 2023 is 500,000. Who knows? Might be less, might not, might be more. Regardless, what we're going to do is we'll slowly withdraw that money and use that money up to get us to 2035 or however far it gets us. Like I said, we're not huge spenders, we're valuists. So we aren't going to need to have our jobs. We use our non-real estate assets to, and side hustle money to just live our life and do what we want, have all the time that we want. And then come 2035, our real estate's starting to get paid off. And now we have 9 fully paid off properties, or, you know what I mean, significantly paid down properties. And we're living off of a $3 million real estate portfolio. So that's kind of our 5 path. Hopefully, everyone can see this and go, whoa, I haven't even thought of 2021. What is my goal here with real estate investing?
So although we haven't reached our FI number yet, because we're on our path, we're both millennials. And so we're really impatient. And so we're not going to wait till the end. And James talked about that as well, as far as that dimmer switch. We're not going to wait until we reach that number to start living our lives and start enjoying it. So we've started to kind of make these shifts. So the closer we get, the more options we have and the more freedom we have. So we've started to make shifts and design a life that we love now, so we don't have to wait until the end. And we do this from adopting what I call a financial freedom mindset.
This has enabled us to have the ability to be work optional. Like I could keep working, but I don't think I'm going to want to keep working night shifts if I don't have to, weekends when I could be spending time with the family. Like we said, we've yet to pull the trigger on it, but it is soon. More time for our hobbies. I work in an industry where a lot of guys, they'll be 65, they could be taking these amazing pensions, but they don't have anything to retire to. And it really depresses me to see some of these guys who are still working when it's like, you could be golfing every day. Money isn't an issue, but their social network, everything is at work. So I think Maria and I are really cognizant now of, okay, when we pull the trigger, when we're not working anymore, what are we going to do? We can't just sit on a beach. I won't be able to sit on a beach, maybe a few months of the year. I won't have an issue with that. But for me, I've always had a goal. I want to play guitar I want to play guitar. I want to play the rock songs that my favorite rock bands play. That's kind of my just personal passionate goal. Maybe have some students to teach guitar to in the future for a little bit of side hustle money. For Maria, she started a blog. She's doing online business stuff. God started up a course. She's helping other moms with their finances. We shared parental leave. I spent 4 months with my daughter before she was 1. Maria went back to work, and I got to stay home. It was awesome. We had 5 years of mortgage freedom, and now we're working towards that again. And then travel is obviously a huge part of our passion in life. Let's wait till this COVID stuff's all over before we can get back to that. But Maria and I have done a ton of traveling, as we've spoken about in previous presentations.
So looking at our journey, real estate has definitely played a big part of where we are today. So we would be probably along our path had we not been involved in real estate, but it's definitely, like Jerry said, it's the fuel to the fire. It's definitely accelerated us. So as all of you are interested in real estate, that's why you're here tonight. We're going to share some actionable takeaways that you can apply to your journey to help use real estate to accelerate your path to financial independence. So the first thing is to have a plan. So do you know how many properties you actually need to achieve your goal? Not how many your ego wants, but actually how many you need or what cash flow you need to sustain your lifestyle. Oftentimes in the beginning, when we were first starting, people are like, I need 100 doors. Okay, so what are you going to do with those 100 doors? So for us, we thought we needed 10 doors. And then we eventually settled on 8. And somehow I got tricked into 9 doors. Although I'm still convinced we're going to get rid of 1 and get down to 8. But that's still a big conversation in our household. Once you have a plan for how many properties you need, the next step is determining where's the money going to come from for all these properties. So you need money for a down payment. Is that going to come from your money, from a HELOC, from a joint venture partner? So start creating a plan for that. We personally never wanted to take on joint venture partners because we just wanted to keep things as simple as possible. Our real estate investing is so boring because it just needs to be simple for us. So we took out once we were mortgage free, we took out a HELOC on our property, and that enabled us to get 4 properties. Because we were so good at saving money, our previous mortgage payments, once we didn't have a mortgage, we could put those on the HELOC. It developed more room, and that allowed us to continue to buy properties, either 1 or 2 a year, until we had our 9th rental.
Yeah, so if you're just starting out or frustrated or stuck in your real estate investing journey, setting up the right team is going to help you on your path. This is the first kind of part of kind of developing a relationship with professionals that are going to help you acquire and make the right choices along your journey. As simple as a realtor, suggesting the right property or properties for your goal, mortgage broker, lawyers, accountants, property inspector, maybe even a property manager, depending on what your strategy is. So you're not going to be able to do real estate without, a fairly significant team of professionals. Do not skip over having an important quality team. If we tried to do this on our own, we wouldn't have had 9 properties. We'd have probably got 1 or 2 or 3 and then been frustrated and decided to not do real estate.
And just a shout out to James and his team. James has done a really good job of building a team and also building a power team of a lot of these professionals. So if you're just starting out and you're kind of not sure, reach out to somebody in the network or reach out to anybody in this room, and they can help to connect you as well. That can be part of your team.
For us, acquiring the first 5 properties went smoothly, but then we had a hiccup on number 6 when the mortgage rules changed. So number 6, the 6th property, conventional banks no longer wanted to lend to us. There's a massive shift in the lender environment, and banks were tightening their policies. So we had a deal, like we had, an offer signed, ready to, we're here to purchase property, and our mortgage broker gets back to us, and we can't get a loan. So luckily we were able to find like a credit union, a local credit union that would lend us mortgages on 4 doors, regardless of how many we had elsewhere. But had we gone to that credit union first, we would have been stuck and we wouldn't have been able to get mortgages past 5. So the fact that our mortgage broker got us the first 5 mortgages with the banks that they did was instrumental in us getting the next 4 properties. We would have been stuck had we gone to that credit union first. So yeah, to sum up, in the beginning, we went to an acre, they were called at that time, but we went in thinking, we're going to do all this ourselves, and came out going, oh my God, I've got to interview people. We got to build a team, got to know all these professionals. It's obviously tough for us, 9 properties, we self-manage, toddler at home, and 2 full-time jobs.
So definitely we have our team that helps us start in the beginning, but in the beginning we tried to do everything ourselves. So we were cleaning properties late at night, we were doing all these things. And now it's like Jerry said, like, we have full-time jobs, we have a child, we have 9 properties. We cannot do everything ourselves anymore. And so we have a cleaner and a handyman as part of our team. So they deal with a lot of that kind of naggly stuff that we don't have to deal with. Does it cost us more? Absolutely. But the value of our time is super important. So we've definitely built that into our cash flow of our properties. Next, you want to make sure that you're tracking your expenses. Again, as a money nerd, this is super important to me. And this is tracking your expenses in your personal life, but also your business life. So in your personal life, you can look for areas to optimize your finances without sacrificing your lifestyle. Jerry said that he was on allowance for a few years, and it was a bit of deprivation at that time, but I knew that it wasn't sustainable.
It was full on financial oppression.
Right? It wouldn't have been sustainable. He would not have been able to last at that. So eventually we looked for ways of cutting our expenses, but still not compromising our lifestyle. So we cut our cell phone plans, for example. We still have the same plan, but with a different provider that's saving us $75 a month. We looked at ways of saving money on groceries. We both drive older vehicles, so we don't drive new vehicles. We looked at looking at our mortgage rate and negotiating that. Your business expenses, looking at things like, again, your mortgage rates, working with your brokers on that, increasing your rent. If you start to develop a bigger portfolio, so we have 9 properties, if we increase our rent even by $50 a month, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's over $5,000 a year. That would be extra money into our pockets. And also look for little ways of really building the relationship with your tenants. So the more tenant turnover that you can prevent, the better it's going to be, because it costs money and time to turn over a property. So we do things like Christmas baskets, or we send birthday cards for them and their kids, and that really helps to build the relationship. We also make sure that there's any repairs, we repair those quickly. Not only is it helping our property to our asset, but those people are now spending a little bit more time there, and they're more willing to stay. For your business of real estate, you want to treat it like a business, and you want to make sure you're tracking your expenses there too, because a lot of those expenses are tax write-offs. So you need to be as organized as you can at tax time to save you money with your accountant. You might be able to write off your cell phone bill, part of your internet, or maybe even part of your mortgage expense if you have a home office. But we're definitely not accountants, so make sure you talk to the right accountant and make sure you have a right plan for that, because nobody wants a CRA audit.
Okay, so tracking your progress. Different ways to track your progress. I mean, a visual cue that you see every day is obviously going to, have a very good impact, or constantly remind you of, what you're trying to achieve. Make something obvious on the fridge. Right now on our fridge, if we went and took a picture of our fridge, there would be a page of paper on there that says how much we owe on our mortgage. And we update it every time we put a lump sum down. So that way it's like every time you open the fridge, oh, okay, we owe this much on our personal residence right now. Numbers are obviously, the basis of tracking your progress. Net worth for us, every year, every quarter, every 3 months, we track our net worth. We go in, we, add up the real estate numbers, and add up all of our non-real estate numbers. And so we have a constant, up-to-date net worth value. Your numbers of properties, make sure you're keeping track of each. Your accountant will thank you. Your accountant will hate you if you don't keep very good, numbers on all of your expenses. And then cash flow, right, which goes with your properties. Is this property worth having? Is it actually helping you get to the point where you are going to have all that time for yourself?
And the big thing is figuring out what your goals are. So our goal is a net worth of $3 million. So free and clear. Your goal might be so many properties or so much cash flow from your properties. So whatever your goal is, figure out what that is and make sure you're tracking that goal to kind of continue to progress towards it. That's going to be the big piece here.
And then, yeah, never stop learning. James mentioned it all. Like, you need to know what your rental market's doing. Keep up with info. COVID's a perfect example of how all of a sudden things can just be, oh, this, I know the real estate market and this is so easy. And then COVID hits and it's like, well, you really have to reassess and be on things a lot more. Keep up with, use the resources of what rents are in your local economy and where your properties are. Obviously use the news, Mogul Mastermind, excellent resource, city website for just, economic numbers. Obviously, to get some new strategies or to build on some of the strategies that you want to use, there's tons of courses, podcasts, blogs, mastermind groups, other real estate investors. Like a very good example of us reaching out to another real estate investor is for overall, we weathered the COVID storm pretty good. One property rent reduction, but we just last month or at the beginning of October had a tenant abandon a property. We'd never had that situation happen before. We reached out to another real estate investor. Literally, I think you reached out on Instagram, and within an hour we had like a response that was like, okay, we can go from here. Because you can read on a website, okay, this is what you do when it's abandoned, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we were that confident in what we were supposed to do. So hey, we have 9 properties. We still reach out to help for people that know better than us. And there's always going to be people that know better than us.
And the big thing here is being proactive. So when COVID hit, we were really proactive. And that's because of what came from our network and other real estate investors that we knew. So we had done research into all of the government programs that were rolling out for assistance. And we reached out to every single one of our tenants via email with a letter saying, here's all the information, here's how to access it. We did that research for them so that they didn't have to do it themselves. We said, reach out to us, let us know. We want to make sure that we're being proactive, because if we don't have more or rents coming in for 9 properties, that's a lot of mortgage payments that we need to cover. So we were very lucky that way. And so a lot of our tenants were very grateful. And a lot of them, because we had built those relationships with them, all of a sudden now they're working from home and they're like, hey, I'll paint this, or I'll touch up that, or I'll fix this if you give us the supplies. So we've been dropping off supplies at all these properties, and our properties are now getting improved. Their living spaces are getting improved, and it's no extra cost to us except for the supplies. Their labor is free because they appreciate what we've been doing for them.
They appreciate that we're willing to spend the money on the supplies for them to upgrade the property they're living in.
So that makes a big difference. Yeah. So those are our 5 action steps. We're going to stick around in the chat. We'll be here for questions. We haven't even looked at the chat yet. But if you want to know more about us, you can definitely connect with us through any of those means there. On that website, if you go to my website on the About page, we've done some podcast interviews talking about our real estate journey and talking about where we're going. And you can definitely access those through the website as well.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Jerry and Maria. Always such a pleasure to hear from you guys and hear how you just created success for yourselves. And I think the focus, and I really, really loved, I loved the mention of ego that you were talking about of not getting wrapped up in this idea of success. And I think a big learning for everyone here is really making a plan for what does success look like for you. And some comments in the chat box here were around people's why and what motivates them. And I think it's a really good reminder to think about what you're working towards and put that at the center of your focus and not ideas of success. I think a great example is always everyone says they want to work from a beach, like work from a beach, not be on the beach. But if you're working on the beach, you're still working. So do you want to work on the beach? I always think that's a great example.